Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to the Little Reader's house. I am the Little Reader, and you, my sweet friend, have entered my home. What a privilege, what an honor, and what a pleasure for me to have you here. I hope you get the same vibes that I get during these transmissions, which is gratitude just to know that there are human beings floating around on this planet, interested, drawn to, moved toward presence, love, community, and learning to anchor into the moment with every moment. That's what we do here in the house. Yeah, the channel is named The Little Reader, and once upon a time it was a place of tarot readings primarily, but then it evolved into loving, heart-centered transmissions, channeling directly from spirit, storytelling, music, skits, and just about anything else that spirit wanted to use this little vessel for. So I'm the little fill-in-the-blank, and it's an honor to have you. In addition to beautiful you, we've got this optical calcite here. Take a look at that. But really, it is, I don't want to block the back, but see how it really is quite see-through? And I apologize again for the nail polish because it didn't all come off when I tried to remove it. But look at that. You can see my mouth moving through the rock. This can dissolve in water, calcite. So one must be careful. The other stone is lapis. Pronunciation lapis lazuli, lapis lazuli. You just do what feels right. I'm just going to take the little fuzz off of it. Bing. But gaze upon that. Little flash of pyrite in there. This stone puts me in a different space immediately. When I see it, when I think of it, when I hold it, when I touch it. What I mean by a different space is it's a mood shifter, an energy shifter, a thought shifter. All of my faculties clink onto a new train track than they were previously before I saw it. So this one's a powerful one for me, especially today. That's why I nabbed it. So let's start rolling. When I say rolling, I mean channeling in what the message is from spirit for you today, my sweet friend. But before I do all of that, and I'm just going to pop my eyes back open, I just want to look at you for a sec. Yes, through a screen. Let's say thanks. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being. Now we'll channel. If you'd like to join me in some deep breathing, I would be most appreciative. As individuals anchor in. What do I mean when I say anchor in? When individuals act as beacons for presence, for surrender, for alignment, for non-resistance, I can feel it. Others can feel it. It sends a ripple across this reality. So when you join me in deep breathing, or when you meditate, or when you invest in loving thyself, I can feel it. And it makes the life experience that much sweeter. So, this is why I invite you to participate. Feel free. Deep breaths in. Deep breaths out. As we have some ambient sound today, you may have noticed. Rain and thunder to match the overcast, foggy, gloomy California weather that I returned to just recently from abroad. And I know people always say, I brought the weather back with me. No, folks. I brought the weather back with me. I'm totally kidding. But it was gloomy there, and then it's like it followed the plane. So we're breathing. We're settling. We're landing. Tactile stimulation never hurts and only helps when becoming grounded. So if it helps you to grab the blanket or the furniture or the floor or the cup of tea that's next to you, as you settle into the moment, then by all means, do so, my love. Here we go. What are people? What are people? I feel like a politician. What are people? But really, that's a question for the consideration of beautiful you. And the mind will immediately fill in its default patterned responses based on what it's been exposed to in the external and what it's founded upon in the internal. So the way the mind works is any chemicals you've ingested, any environments you've spent time in, and the very DNA that comprises your physicality, your physical structure, is what projects the parameters of the way the mind functions and what filters its automated responses. And the mind is just that, an automated response machine, particularly when it hasn't been cultivated as a tool. And that's okay. We love the mind. So I say, what are people? And your personal experiences, your personal environments, your personal trauma, DNA, all of that is going to generate some data. And just look at it. What comes up? What are people? I can channel from the collective responses, and I'll throw in a few of my own. And I won't even tell you which is which to keep it mysterious. What are people? A pain in my ass. What are people? The virus of the planet. These are pretty dark right off the bat. What are people? The brightest lights of my life. What are people? What it's all about. What are people? Love. What are people? Someone saying the most highly evolved animal. In the same breath, someone else is saying the most destructive, least evolved, unnatural animal. Others are responding to the question with a scientific bent, like, oh, people, humans, that's where they go with this. Humans are, part extraterrestrial, DNA of the gods. Some say humans are carbon, and they start listing off some chemical constituents, and that's great. Some people list the 12 body systems ranging from skeletal to integumentary, I think, if that's a word. Some don't even have words to describe what are people. And that's okay. And others bring in a religious element. People, humans, God's chosen ones. People. The masters of the planet. So as you can see, it's vast. We've all got either some programming or some predispositions, or as one collective thought said, I haven't given it much thought. Never given it much thought. That's all right. But Spirit's asking the question today to invite us to contemplate something, to sit with something, to be present with something, not to think about it necessarily, not to analyze, reframe, or spend time trying to shift our patterning, but to step outside of all the patterning. People are patterns. Spirits said that here in the channel before. It's a beautiful thing. It's not meant to diminish the stunning nature of the human being, the unconscious human being, which comprises the majority of our collective. Even identifying as a conscious human being is assuming a role. It's playing a part. And it once again becomes unconsciousness. I can't describe to you what the conscious human being is, because if I did, the mind would take that description and fashion it into a character so that it could copy that. And then run around saying, well, I'm conscious, so that makes me better. And Spirit doesn't look at anything like that. Spirit's no judge. It's funny, I know, because we have so much historical background about how God loves to judge. And there was a time when the human mind was the closest technology we had to accessing God. So, the human mind and the way it functioned was conflated with or co-identified as God. God and mind as one. Understandable, right? Because with human evolution, each time we reach a new realm of experience, way of experiencing life, one that's broader and grander and more impactful than the next, we slap God's name on it. Oh, that must be the divine, because it's unlike anything before. There was a time when accessing the realm of mind, thought, was not something that humans could do. So when they broke onto the scene of mind, it was a revolution. And of course, God was named the mind was named God, the realm of mind was named God. But what does the realm of mind do? It judges shit all day long, baby. That's what it do. It judges and it analyzes and it disciplines and it punishes and it constructs. But as we've discovered here in the channel, and you can look at many, many past transmissions on this, the human mind was not the final frontier of human evolution. I don't want to say far from it because it's great, it's vast, we love it. But it was not the end-all be-all. The realm of heart is where we're headed next, where many pioneers have ventured forth, started to lay foundations for the collective to join. And that's the new God. The God is love. And you can see this in the split testaments of some famous religious texts, that shift from mind identification to heart and love identification. We've had some prophets roll through who are really emphatic on highlighting that shift. And now the human experience is often this dance from mind to heart, mind to heart, mind to heart, where our awareness is at any given time is often one or the other. Those who practice with passion as a loving discipline are building a central location between heart and mind, where they dwell, and can be in both or all realms simultaneously. But that's a small margin, love, and that's okay. It's exactly the way it's supposed to be. As it is as it's supposed to be, so panic not. There's no work to be done that won't arise naturally. So Let the tension slide out of your body. That little crash course was simply to say this. Whether conscious or unconscious, people are patterns. People are patterns. And when they're conscious, when they're awake, when they're standing outside of the mind and outside of the body and outside even of the emotions, they're witnessing all of those things, but from a place of loving neutrality. That is the very definition of consciousness, but don't try to embody it, my love. It'll arise naturally as a result of practice. That is a portal to the divine, those people, those individuals. But again, they're sprinkled like a little bit of seasoning over delicious gourmet platter of food. The percentage of individuals who are dwelling in that neutral witness space is slimbo jimbo. I almost just ate my hair. Delicious. Slimbo jimbo, like it's small. It's small. 1 in 1,000. 1 in 1,000,000. I don't know. I don't do math. I just know it's small. Spirit's message today is to acknowledge that people are patterns lovingly, and to use the patterns, not seek out conscious individuals who are so-called awake or not awake, because again, we can't know that. We can only know if this is awake. That's ourselves, not the little reader. We don't even know if the little reader is real. She may be AI generated, so don't model anything off of this. Please. You, and only you, are the conduit to the divine. Only you can know if you're awakened, and that's the only thing you can know. And the moment you take a beat and go, am I present? You are. So Spirit asks us to use the patterning of others to reflect back on ourselves in a moment, body, mind, and beating heart, and say, am I awake? Or a mantra that we had in another transmission, where am I? Where am I? Now, who is you, beautiful soul? You're not a body, you're not a mind, and you're not a heart. You have a body. You have access to a realm called mind, and you have access to an organ called heart, and a portal through that organ in this chest space to a realm of divinity. But you aren't those things. What you are is the white light that animates the avatar. Totally, from my mind to yours, understand how that sounds like complete BS until it's been experienced firsthand, and then you can't ever forget it, and you can't ever know anything other than that. No one can ever take it from you again. Once you've experienced yourself as the white light of awareness through a meditation practice, through a sacred experience, through perhaps a psychedelic herb, plant, nature-induced experience, through a dream, through a near-death experience. Notice how it requires an experience. The accumulation of knowledge, reading, conversation, all of those things can really get the mind close in proximity to an understanding, but the first-hand experience is what seals the deal. When you've experienced yourself that way, as the white light of awareness, you can ask the question, where am I? And you're not asking, where's my body? Oh, it's in California, Los Angeles, to be exact. That is, if she's not AI. Where is the mind? Oh, it's thinking about, oh, can't reveal that. Wouldn't be appropriate, darling. And not asking about the heart. Where is the heart? The emotions. Feeling love. All of those things will show you where your awareness has been placed. They show you where you are, not what you are. Beautiful distinction. Whatever comes up first when you ask, where am I, reveals where the white light of awareness that is you is shining at any given time. Like shining a flashlight around a warehouse. I think it was the beautiful Anita Morjani who said in her book, Dying to Be Me, that the human experience is like shining a flashlight around a dark warehouse and then being in the post-death state where she went. It was like the light was on in the entire warehouse. Ah. In this case, you are awareness. You're the light of the flashlight. When you say, where am I? You look at what you're pointing your light at. And it helps redirect you back to the moment. The only real thing there is. So, using other people, and I did say using, and this channeling is going to get even more sociopathic than that, so have a sip of your tea, you'll see what I mean in just a moment. Because not only are we going to use people, not only is Spirit inviting us to use people, Spirit's inviting us to cut off the hemorrhaging of energy that so many of the collective are bleeding out their life force, trying to fix, heal, and resolve other people's patterns. So again, take a sip of your tea, have a deep breath. If you've ever identified as codependent, a light worker, an empath, get grounded, dearie. If people are patterns, that means people are archetypes. A pattern will continue to run and repeat until there's an interruption. The interruption will happen by the movement of the divine in the perfect timing. That's Spirit's sentence when it comes to how people change. There are patterns running behaviorally, chemically, genetically, digestively, electrically, and all of those patterns, as they become subtler and subtler and go from the physical flesh into the mental, are exhibited as behaviors, as pathology. But they are on repeat. So we can understand people as patterns and archetypes. And then when we've gotten a sense or a flavor of the pattern or archetype that that individual is, we can see them as a messenger, a representative of a medicine. Let's use the little reader as an example. Some may see the little reader as an archetype of love, an archetype of spirituality. This character firsthand plays that role in many people's lives, even in the immediate world, not just across the YouTubes, my love. I mean, one phone call away, friends and family. I need to know what's going to happen next. Or, I need a healing. Or, I just need to feel like God is real. And this avatar is the source that they utilize to get that medicine. But would it shock you to know, would it shock me to say, that that is not the only role that this character plays? That's a patterning that you may know me by, beautiful soul, because of how I appear on this platform. But there are many other roles that I play to different individuals in the world. And it ain't all white light. So, understand that the way you categorize an individual as an archetype, as a pattern, may differ from the way somebody right next to you categorizes the same person as an archetype, as a medicine. Now you can start playing with this with public figures, and you can see how, on the broad, diverse scale of life, take any public figure, and half of the population sees them as a medicine. The other half sees them as a poison. And in this sort of branding, it exemplifies the purpose of the mind. We are using the mind in this exercise. Anytime we categorize, judge, label, that's a mental practice. And Spirit's inviting us to do this with people. Because today's Spirit's invitation, if I can drill it down deeply before we segue into our next connected point, is to stop deifying human beings and regurgitating emotionally onto them, expecting them to save us, to heal us, to rescue us, to change us, to enlighten us, and instead see them for what they are, repeating patterns. They're a medicine if they expand you, if they connect you back to source, if they inspire you to awaken and become further conscious. They're a poison if they drag you further into the drama, if they deplete your resources, if they cause you to identify with your flesh, your physical temporal self, more than with your eternal light self. Those are judgments. Medicine versus poison. But that's the invitation from Spirit today. Can we look at humans as patterns rather than as saviors? As stories rather than as heroes? As archetypes and lessons rather than magicians? As equals, same as us. Rather than the alchemists who hold the secret key to our salvation. Spirit's inviting us to use the mind to discern our equality amongst one another, and to gently remove those we've placed on pedestals off of those pedestals, and perhaps help those who we've judged as less than up onto equal footing. Although in this particular collective that I'm addressing, the propensity isn't to lower people's worth. The propensity here in this house, between you and I, is to elevate people. Interestingly, it has the same effect as if we were to put our foot on someone's head and push them down into the ground. The one who we're pushing down into the ground when we elevate somebody else is ourself. Codependency, my love. We're rooting it out today. So let's segue. Cheers. When I said it was going to get more sociopathic, this is the moment I was referring to. Sociopathy, psych major here. Hey, hi, hello. USC 2021. Fight on. Sociopathy is characterized by, and I hope this is still true because it's been a minute since I checked out the DSM. A definitive and distinctive lack of empathy for other humans. There's this lack of recognition of the feelings, emotions, needs, and humanity of others. And if there is a recognition, it's like, meh, I might see it, but I don't care about it. Sociopathy. Now, that's a psychological perspective, I think. Please fact check me on that. In my line of work, love, which runs the gamut of reading minds and talking with spirits and living in the dead, and also many realms of mind, traveling through the experience of what it's like to be wired one way versus another. I've actually tapped into very few sociopathic minds. In those sociopathic minds, it's as if roots that deeply drive into the shared collective earth, and I'm getting metaphorical here, of the human experience, those roots are severed. In that frame of mind, or that realm of mind, there's a quite literal disconnect between the single I and the collective we. And that disconnect, that severing, often occurs as a result of various traumas and a take that might ruffle the feathers of the mind, but is nonetheless spirit's take, is that even what the collective perceives as a destructive frame of mind, like sociopathy or being a sociopath, offers value to the collective. Earlier I said if you're an empath, a light worker, or you've ever been told you're codependent, hang on to your tea and ground thyself. This is our moment, beautiful soul. Individuals who fall into that category, who often find themselves enmeshed with sociopaths or narcissists, or so they've been told, typically find the very idea of being a narcissist or a sociopath to be repulsive. How could you not care about another human being, their feelings, their needs, their everything? How could you not feel everything that somebody's going through? And forgive the accent, I'm saying this playfully, but am more deeply familiar with it than I can express. From the big picture vantage point of spirit, being an empath, being a narcissist, sociopath, one and the same. Being codependent, anxiously attached, same as being avoidant attachment, emotionally neglectful. There's such a deep-rooted relationship between the two that they are one another's side of the coin. Same coin, though. Perhaps we'll dive into the specifics of that another day, but there are lots of beautiful psychologists and people who study human behavior who've seeded this information across the web. So more investigation is available to you if that piques your interest, and bravo to you if it does. In asking us to identify people as patterns, Spirit is asking those who have the propensity, the tendency, the natural inkling to overgive excuses, time, energy. They hemorrhage that which they are to those who undervalue it. Irrespective of how we judge them, we could say, narcissist, you sociopath, you asshole, whatever you label it. There's still a population that is chronically overgiving, whether or not, interestingly, this population chooses to chronically overtake, meaning receive. In many cases, these individuals aren't even taking. In some cases, these individuals aren't even involved in the equation. Spirit's looking at this group right now, today, and asking those of us who have ever identified as codependent, as an empath, as a light worker, as a healer, as a mystic, to say, people are patterns. Everyone's a medicine or a poison. How does exposure to their energy, even if it's just the thought of them, the thought of you, how does the exposure to that affect me? And per the criteria mentioned earlier, if it doesn't expand, if it doesn't inspire, if it doesn't uplift, if it doesn't make you more conscious, can you kiss and release gently? And each time the impulse to overgive arises, can you just watch it? There's a strong energy of addiction here. Addiction to giving and giving and giving, particularly to those who don't want to receive or can't receive. Because the individuals who identify as light workers, empaths, healers, intuitives, etc., feel so uncomfortable in a state of wholeness for a multitude of reasons. It's patterning. There's nothing wrong with it. But the time has come to break free from it, beautiful soul. Set thyself free. Be released. And it's not going to be necessarily through a process or even another Reiki session or another cleansing or another cord cutting ceremony. It's going to be through asking that question we mentioned earlier. Where am I? Every time that the individual who we are tempted to overgive to comes up. Where am I? Can I be here? Where I am in this moment? And then if you feel that your patterning is going to give, even if you know intellectually that it's not in your best interest, can you be with it? Can you witness it happen? Can you watch it? Spirit's inviting us to drink a little bit of the medicine of these so-called narcissists and sociopaths and remove folks off of their pedestal. Here we have a group of individuals who places everyone on a pedestal. Here we have a group of individuals who places everyone subterranean, under the ground. I'll walk on anyone. I'll take from everyone. I'm an opportunist. I will get what I need, and I don't give a flying freak. If you put them together, you get level ground. You get namaste. You get we're all one. We're all equal. We're all on the same footing. And that's where Spirit is inviting you, beautiful soul, to recognize that people are patterns, divine patterns, yes, but they're not your healers. They're not your rescuers. They're not your magicians. They're not your alchemists. They may serve to inspire. They may serve to uplift, but ultimately you are the one. You are the one, beautiful soul, the one who is alchemizing, the one who is doing magic, the one who is healing. And all of your gifts that you may feel so uncomfortable giving to others, retaining for yourself, you feel so comfortable giving them to others, but giving them to yourself is like, whew, just feels wrong. That's patterning. Recognize that patterning. Love that patterning. That's Spirit's invitation for you today, beautiful soul. You don't need to do anything else with it. You don't need to spoil yourself more, go book a massage, redeclare your life, change your identity completely, drop everything. No, you don't need to change a thing. Merely become a conscious witness of the inclination to overgive. And when you see yourself do it, because you will, beautiful soul, because that which you call you is a pattern. When you see yourself lifting someone up on a pedestal, love yourself as you do it. When you see yourself saying yes, when what your body needs is for you to say no, love yourself while you do it. When you see yourself spilling your guts, over-confessing, over-explaining, try to make things right, even when they're not really wrong, love yourself while you do it. When you see yourself smashing through your own boundaries, and you will, love yourself while you do it. And Spirit promises, if you can love yourself while you live as an imperfect, according to the mind, pattern, you will transcend all patterns much faster than you think. You'll find yourself standing outside of it as the witness again and again. And the more you practice, particularly if you develop a regular meditation practice, the more and more you practice, the more and more you will identify as the light of consciousness, the light of awareness, the light of unconditional love, rather than the carrier of the light. That's your power, beautiful soul. And it's infinite. So, what have we learned today? Ask, where am I? Recognize that people are patterns. Place no one on a pedestal, and place no one beneath you. All equals, all offering a medicine or a poison. And finally, recognize your own medicine and your own poison. And when you find yourself poisoning yourself, as you will, as we all do, when we engage in destructive behaviors, love yourself even as you're doing it, even as you're doing it, even in the midst of the addictive action, the midst of the self-harming action. Love yourself as you're doing it, knowing that you're the light that animates the form, and you're watching the form be the pattern that it was actually created to be. Who said the pattern had to be constructive, creative, light only? Not the divine. If that's what the divine wanted, the divine would have done that now, wouldn't it? But instead, the divine made you perfect, here and now, today, exactly as you are, even when your mind judges your behavior to be naughty, naughty, wrong, wrong. If you can love yourself through that judgment, you've just embraced the most powerful spiritual practice at this juncture in time, space, reality. Now, go be your perfect self. Until we meet again, I am sending you all of the love I've got. It's always more. It's never less, because you, my sweet friend, are so very worthy of this. Share this video on your Facebook. I don't know if you could share it on your Instagram, but try. Share it with your homies, share it with your family. We all need a little more love, a little more respect for one another, but mostly for ourselves. I'm sending you all the love I got. Bye for now.